Well, here we are, people. This is the day after the typhoon, and it's early afternoon, and the cleanup starts now. It's going to be a massive cleanup. This is the El Corso area. You can see a tugboat there. It's been washed ashore. So the tidal surge was very powerful to be able to do that. And a little bit further on, I think there's a little bit more carnage as well. But many trees fallen over, branches, power lines, also power poles have been torn out and on the ground. There's widespread damage all over the city, all over the province actually. The eastern Visayas area has been well and truly hit by this super typhoon that came through last night. It lasted for about a good hour and a half, you know, at very high sustained winds of I would say over 200 kilometers an hour for most of over the time, and it didn't die off until about just before midnight. She died right down, and it started at about 8:30. The wind started to get up, so it took a while to get through the area. So as I mentioned before, this is El Corso, and it's the South Road properties, and the damage here is extensive. You can only see little bits here, trees down everywhere, and over the whole city we've found out now that the electricity is down, the water supply is just about depleted, so there will be no water shortly, and we don't know when that will be back on again. And also the phone lines are down. There's no mobile phone usage, landlines, obviously no power, so you can't use them as well. And I think the powers that be are doing the best that they can. They're out there now, they're trying to clean up, but it's going to take a lot of time and effort to get the city back to where it was. Everyone's predicting how long it would take. The cleanup itself would take weeks and weeks. As you can see, a truck there already helping to clean up. There are trucks all around the city with the police helping out, and other volunteer workers helping out to clean up the city everywhere. And the electricity and the essentials, electricity, water, and phone lines, those are the three big ones which can take a long time to fix up, to get going again as they were. You can see the New Star had a fence going around it here. That's been ripped up totally. It's disappeared, gone somewhere. So you can see right through to the building area here under construction. And just a little bit further, there's the seawall, and I think a ship's come aground, I heard. There it is. There it's a ferry, one of the local ferries that was moored or anchored a little bit offshore, and the tidal surge just pushed it right up here, and the tugboat just in front of it there, you can see the top of the little stack of the tugboat went with it as well up to the shoreline here. What a mess. Yep, that definitely should not be there. So you can imagine the winds that would create this sort of destruction. Very big winds. Some of the buildings, or most of the buildings around, are damaged as well, and you can see all the damage over the highway. Big cleanup. It's going to take a lot of time for people to get this sorted. You can see the SMC side tower there. It's got a lot of panes of glass missing. It's probably lucky to still be standing, but it got definitely hit, and quite a bit too. So we're just going to roam around the city and see what damage has been caused around the city in different areas. So this will take a little bit of a while. There's another tugboat that's been washed up, sitting right there. Tried to get a closer picture of it, but couldn't get through the mess that's on the road to get over there, so we just tried to zoom in on it. There's a little tugboat stuck on the shoreline as well. There's a concrete ramp right there. There's the seaside. The building itself, the round shape of the building, probably kept it quite safe, because that would just keep the wind moving around. rather than having to take the full impact. That helped a lot, I guess, for that mall there. And everyone's going around very slowly because there are trees everywhere. You don't want to go racing around. These cars have slowed right down. See, there's debris, all sorts of debris all over the place. It's like this Typhoon had hurricane force winds, obviously over 200 kilometres an hour, and that's going to be very destructive. So the city is in a mess at the moment, calamity situation, I guess you would call it, definitely. Everybody's out trying to get fuel for their vehicles, get diesel for those that have a generator, and a lot of people are also thinking about lining up for food and water to drink, let alone water to bathe in and to give you a good wash as well. So all these things come into mind, and this is only the day after. There's a lot more to go ahead. There's a lot more days to go, and I don't know when we can actually post this video, but we'll post it as soon as we can. I hear there are pockets of internet around the city, little areas, so there may be a small reception transmitter in certain areas, and we're actually thinking about going to a hotel. If we can find a hotel that has a gen set. Most of them will actually have gen sets, and we might just hold up in there for quite a few days until most of this has been fixed up, or until at least the water and electricity can start coming again. So on the right there you can see a bunch of traffic. They're all trying to get into the fuel station. Traffic lights are not working, no power, no traffic lights, and the traffic enforcers or the traffic helpers here to move the traffic along, keep it going smoothly. They're not around. They're probably still sorting out their own mess around home, but you would think pretty soon they'll be out and about having to, there you go, there's a lot of people there lining up for fuel. Wow, having to get out and help out with the traffic flow. Otherwise it won't take long and it'll be a huge mess with traffic, because there's still a lot of debris on the roads here and there. So as I mentioned before, the police and other workers are out cleaning up the trees all over this city, and it's a very big city, a city of at least 30 million people. So this is going to take a lot of hard work to get it done. And with all the spaghetti lines you can see there hanging over the roads and everywhere, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of those actually on the roads now. All those wires up there, all that weight on those poles, with that kind of destructive wind force, it's going to have an effect. As we go around, we'll see what's going to land and what's going to be able to stand up. I expect a lot of buildings will be damaged. There will be some buildings stronger than others, some not so strong, as we go around the city. It just seems so bare now, doesn't it? So open. Okay, a little bit further along, following this blue truck along. On the right hand side there's the wharf area. In between some other businesses we see those sea containers that have fallen right off, fallen away. Huge mess to clean up there, and the buildings themselves are being blown apart. Some of the sea containers are still standing there, but there will be a lot blown over. There's a bit more damage there in the middle of the road. Everybody having to slow down, keep out the way. Yeah, it's a huge mess which everybody has got to try and get around. Cleaning it up will take a lot of time. Wow, what a mess that is. So I will just keep quiet for a little bit here so you can see some of the damage that's going on. doing what they don't normally do. Maybe he ran out of fuel.
Maybe.
Just parked it there.
That's why they stuck there.
Oh man. There are people trying to get into SM. Just over there. I don't know. A lot of them fuel stations are closed. The fuel station needs a genset to be able to pump the pumps. Wow. I think the message here for people, there's no communication going out, as obviously the televisions are down, no power, and the radios are not broadcasting, so we can't get any messages as to what we should be doing. But everybody's got the same idea: get fuel for your vehicle, no matter what it is. Get some extra spare fuel if you can. Get water from any source that you can, and get stockpiles of food, because we don't know when we're going to get supplies of all these essential items again. So everybody's in a mad rush to line up for fuel and then line up for food and the rest of it. So it's definitely a sad state of affairs that what this typhoon has caused for the people of Cebu and the surrounding areas. Not to mention also the islands that got hit just as hard, like Bohol and over in southern Leyte and other areas that I haven't mentioned that got hit as well.
Maybe in Lapulapu there's open.
Possibly. You're missing stuff. Look at the lights, they're just totally wrecked. So I've got just over a tank of fuel. So not only are we out looking around, we're also looking for somewhere to get fuel, somewhere where there's a line not so big, so we can fill up our tank, and hopefully we'll be able to get some fuel to last us for quite a while. That's a necessity for everybody, is to get some fuel so that you can get around the city, so you can get your food and your water and everything that you need. And we just hope that the internet phone lines, well, the phone lines can come back on again, and we can go on the internet with the data usage as soon as possible, so that we can contact loved ones and put messages out there to let everybody know what's going on in the city of Cebu. You can see here the S&R retail store, warehouse, whatever you want to call it, is operating. A lot of vehicles there. Everybody's getting in there to get their bulk buying, get their food, and anything else they need. Because I think it'll be very difficult to find any hardware stores open, let alone any food stores. A lot of people will be stocking up with food, and that's not going to help everybody, because you know what happens when people start to panic. They all get 10 of everything, and all of a sudden there's not enough for everybody to go around. So hopefully they can, the powers that be can get on top of this and make sure that everybody can get some food and nobody misses out on food and water, so that we can at least survive until we can get the power back on and services back to normal. So here's our lineup. There's quite a few cars in front, and you can't even see the petrol station. So there it is now, Petron. We've already been sitting here for over half an hour. Over 1 hour, sorry. We've been sitting here for over 1 hour, and nerves are starting to get frayed a little. It's actually, we've been here for closer to 2 hours, slowly moving along, because a lot of vehicles, like the police and other vehicles that need diesel for their generators, have been jumping up in front of the line, because they're probably for the hotels and you know, hospitals, things like that. The necessity services need power for their gen sets, and they all take diesel. And then you've got us, the public, who need petrol and diesel also to get around the city. So it's a stressful time for everybody, and nerves can get frayed quite easily when you're lining up like this. And here we go. We're going to get a full tank, and hopefully that will last us until the fuel and everything gets back to normal, which means not much driving around, I expect. That's what we're going to do. So let's fill this tank up and get going. It's been over 2 hours, but at least we managed to get some fuel to fill up. There's a lot of people who will be coming out after this, I expect, because this is only the day after. There will be a lot of people not realizing that they need to get fuel, and eventually they will. And just hope that there's enough to go around.
Look at these kids climbing on the tree.
Okay, this is the area that I've set aside in the city for squatters. It used to be an old building that they were going to use for all sorts of assemblies and what have you, but it was only used once and it was abandoned after that, and now they've got squatters in there. And these poor people have got very little protection, so they're doing the best that they can to survive. Got to feel for them. They've got the worst of it.
That's the squatters area there.
We can go straight, right? The one thing that we didn't think about was if you're going to drive around the city, it's probably not a smart move, because one, you're wasting fuel, and two, there'll be no traffic lights and no traffic enforcers, which we found out. So yeah, by driving around, we found out that there weren't any. So it's everybody for themselves, which is the worst case scenario, which means there's no direction or control for the flow of traffic. Knowing when to stop and when to go is up to yourself at the moment. So this is another poor area, I suppose you could call it, of the city, which we're just passing through now. Damage everywhere.
Yeah, too many walls, too many holes on the...
Damage everywhere. And the fuel station there's got too much damage to open.
Wow. I smell your name, Mom.
Look on the left there, Mum. Falling down. Falling down. The roof has come right down from that building. Power lines going right across the road. Oh, wow. Let's make it worse. Oh, wow.
This is what happened when...
Yeah, here I am in the lane trying to go left here, and there's obviously it's every man for themselves, so you watch and see if I can get across. That it's a busy road, as you can see, so turning left here is not going to be easy, so it's just a matter of just pull out and see how you go, because it's traffic on your left, traffic on your right. So luckily everybody's just going slow, so eventually we will get through, as we just did. This is the J Mall we're coming up to now, which I was here only a few days ago, and it did not look like that. It looked quite good at the time. So yeah, she's well and truly damaged. So none of these malls are open. Highly expected, of course, after the damage that they've received. You'd want to keep people away from falling debris There it is all there, blown around the place. Yeah, people are trying to get in though. They're standing around and asking the security if they can get in because they all want to get food and water. They have to make that available somehow so that people can get essential supplies because nobody saw this 200 kilometre an hour wind super typhoon until about 12 hours before it actually hit. So caught me by surprise. I could see it was coming, but we were in a situation where our condo was in very good, safe hands. We could see that it would be well protected, which it was, and which we were well protected, but we didn't foresee the necessity to have to get fuel for the vehicle, to have to go out to make sure we've got food. And the other one is that the electricity would go down for an extended period of time, which no one can give an understandable time frame on. It could take anything from 4 to 5 days is the estimate that I got from the office manager here at the condo. From 4 to 5 days is his guess. And I was talking to one of the security guards here as well, and he reckoned maybe up to 4 weeks before we can get electricity in our particular area. So yeah, there's a lot of hardship to go through before we can all get back to normality. That's for sure. And I feel for those that hopefully, you know, there's probably going to be fatalities, or there probably was fatalities. There always are with these things. So how it goes out to those families.
Damaged by the wind as well.
Otherwise, people of the right-hand lane probably lining up for fuel. So you must remember that this is just the day after. This is getting late in the afternoon now. The day after the typhoon. So everybody's, you know, in a bit of a state of what are we doing? What can we do? So we tried to get into here to get some food, but that was closed. So now we just moved on a little bit further, and someone just fell off their bike there. The lady was on the back, and I think she's got some abrasions on her leg, and her bike he couldn't pick up. So people are helping them get off. So we just parked up here, see if we could get some McDonald's, but the line was too big, so we decided to move on a bit. So yeah, got to be careful.
We cannot get the food. Look at the lineup. Look at the lineup. Look at the lineup in McDonald's. It's too
Everyone's starting to panic now. Pretty soon they'll be getting aggravated and probably a little bit aggro because everyone needs fuel to get around, and they need water and food. Look at the state of that one. That was recently refurbished, that one, that business. Thank you for just walking in front of me. Far out.
Is there?
Oh, yeah, well, you can't see Filipino, it says go. I wasn't even looking at it. Spaghetti Junction now. You can see lots of lineups here of people lining up for fuel. They are just all over the place. We haven't got it all, but in shot. But believe me, there are lineups of at least 500 meters, at least 500 meters of vehicles lined up in fuel stations, those that are open and still have fuel for sale. So that's this is another mall, Park Mall, that we thought was open because the gate was actually open. So we followed another car in, but there's nothing but just a mess everywhere. This mall on the outside copped a fair bit, and it's all over the place. It's all over the ground, trees, bits of metal, everything. people walking around. I don't think their supermarket's open yet. We couldn't find anywhere to park. We found out that we weren't allowed in here. We had to leave because of the mess. So it's that soon after the destruction is passed through that they haven't had time to put the road blocks up properly to stop vehicles from coming in thinking that it's open. But we have to do a U-turn here and go back the way we came. They wouldn't let us out that way, so we have to go back through all the debris to go out the other side, which is where we're going now to get out of here. Okay, I know this is not pleasant viewing for most people, especially for those that have relatives in Cebu. I hope they're all fit and well and doing okay and getting through this the best that they can. And I hope that everybody in Cebu has got lots of water and food to survive this period while we wait for things to be cleaned up and services to get back to some kind of normality, or at least services that are available. Emergency services and the likes of petrol and water are necessities, so we hope that they can get up and as soon as possible, and yeah, everyone can start to move on, because Christmas is coming up, and this is not the sort of time when you would wish this sort of thing on anybody, but it's happened to us, so we just have to live with it, have to fight through it. Filipinos are really tough people, and we'll get through this, no problem. There I am having to move the gate out the way because we got through it, and then they decided to close it on us, and cars in behind me now who followed me through, so we're all just trying to get out, as we should be out of there and not around that area. So yeah, we will get through this. Filipinos are a tough bunch of people. We will survive, we will move on, and we will build a better Cebu for everybody. And that includes everybody around the area of this island. We'll all get through this somehow. Everybody will get through it, and with a little bit of help from everybody, we'll pull together, do the best we can to build this city up better than what it was before. I hope you enjoyed this video. At least you could see what happened, the aftermath. These typhoons are not good. They can create a lot of damage. As you can see, it's created a lot of damage for this city, and the rebuilding will take a long time. But we're prepared to wait for the rebuild and to help out as much as we can. We're heading home, but there's a lot of poor people stuck out here still trying to get fuel. That's all what these people are doing on the right hand side here. They're all they're in line waiting to get fuel all the way along this road. There are 2 fuel stations, and this is just one of them. This is the first one, and a bit further up there's another one. People lining up trying to get fuel. It's yeah, it's sad to see, but everybody's got a car here or a motorbike, and you need to get around to get essential supplies. So yeah, it's understandable that they're lining up. You have motorcycles in one line, cars in the other line, and yeah, just trying to get fuel to survive so that they can move around. It's important to be able to move around, obviously. So okay, that's enough of this, of the aftermath. Thank you for viewing. Please comment, definitely please comment, and like or not like the video. Thanks very much for viewing. Bye bye for now.